Yeah.
You hear that? Recording's in progress.
Yes.
We good?
Yes.
Are you excited?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm nervous a little bit.
What are you nervous about?
Just being on Zoom, not knowing what you're going to ask me.
No, I don't really know what I'm going to ask you either, so it's okay. Well, first of all, I don't think you have anything to worry about because probably like 5 people total will watch this. So you don't, it's not like I have millions of people watching me. So I would guess like the only people who are actually going to watch this are people who know us both, right? So if more people watch that, that's cool. But for me, I just think, I've had on my gut for like a while that I wanted to start a podcast of some kind, and I've always not done it because I'm not very technologically like savvy as far as like making it high quality content, all that. But I also know that there's a lot of people who do it and they just do it just like this, where it's not very high tech. It's just a recording of a screen. Um,
Right.
the idea for me is just to have um, open conversations that we normally would not have just talking, right? So like for me and
Right.
a lot of our conversations are based around just whatever it is relationship that we have. So what I would like to do is, well, for whoever's watching it, but also just for myself and for you, just to have a conversation about like, I mean, just see where it goes. But I would like to know, ultimately the goal is just to learn more about you, right? And then maybe through doing these, like I'm eventually gonna bring other people on that aren't my family members and things like that. But
Right.
the idea here is just to, one, have a recorded conversation that I can look back on and just learn more about each other, basically. So for those people who are watching, my name's Paul Duncan. I am a recruiter with the National Guard. I'm a runner. I do a run streak. I'm at over 3 years in a row of running every day, average about 7 or 8 miles a day. I have a son named Harvey. This is Harvey's grandmother on the screen. Her name is Holly. This is also my mom. And we're going to get to know her a little bit today. So, are you excited? Are you less nervous? Or are you more nervous now that I just said that?
No, I'm good.
Um, so hopefully I'm gonna be able to ask some questions that are gonna surprise you, but I don't know. So um what I would love to do, first of all, we only have, this is a free version of Zoom. I didn't even upgrade to Zoom, so we're using the free version. We're gonna get cut off at 40 minutes. So
Okay.
if it goes 40 minutes, then great. But I'm actually gonna set a timer to give me a 10-minute warning. Hey Siri, give me a timer for 30 minutes. Okay, we got a 30-minute timer. So once we hit 30 minutes, we got to start wrapping it up. But
Okay.
um so let's just start with this. Why don't you start with who you are?
My name is Holly Collins. I'm Paul's mom, Harvey's grandma. Um, and I did hair for 30 some years. I'm retired, disabled.
Disabled how?
I break a lot of bones
Okay.
and I have osteoporosis and I break bones. And so that has made me disabled.
Okay. Why don't we
I
start?
also,
Go ahead.
oops,
Continue.
I
Continue.
also have Emery and Addison and Cameron and Mason as my grandsons and daughters.
Do you think they'll watch this, or you think they'll say that's stupid? I'm not watching this podcast.
No, I think they'll watch it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
especially Cameron.
well, that's great. That would be a good, this might be a good thing for them to watch too, because this might be one of the only ways that they can get kind of deep into your history, right? So
Yeah.
why don't you start with, where were you born? You don't have to tell me when you were born, but where were you born?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois, and then
I was there till I was 18, then moved to Michigan,
okay,
Kalamazoo, then Battle Creek.
Kalamazoo, Michigan, Battle Creek, Michigan. Okay. What was your childhood like? Sum up your childhood. What was it like growing up in, how long were you in Chicago again? Illinois?
Till I was about 18.
So you
17.
so you were born in Illinois and you stayed there all the way up until you're 18. No moving.
Um, I moved to Arizona when I was 16, but then came back.
It was just short. Why'd you move to Arizona?
Boyfriend.
When you were 16?
Yeah, 17, 16.
Okay.
I ran away.
You ran away from home. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I did that a lot.
why don't you tell me give me a little snapshot of what your upbringing might have looked like. Like, what was your mom like? What was your dad like? Start with there.
I was a daddy's little girl. I went to him for things because my mom would say no and he would say yes. My mom was scared of everything I did and he was comfortable. So it was very hard in that matter. Like, because my mom would ground me, my dad would say, okay, do this, and then you can go. I'll talk to her.
So you lived with your mom and your dad growing all the way up?
Yes, they were just married the one time. My dad died when I was 17 or 18.
Okay. Um, and then your mom?
She passed, I don't know, but like 4 or 5 years later, I think.
And
I've kind of
you said
blocked that out.
you said your dad died when? When you were what
When
age?
I was young, like 18 years old.
So I never met my grandpa from yours.
No,
Okay. And
you
then
met my mom,
grandma, what was her name?
Heine Camp.
Yeah. And she died when I was what age?
God, I don't know.
I remember her.
You were very young, so maybe because we would go. I think when you were like 4 or 5, you remember her? So maybe,
I remember very little. I remember she liked like birds.
yeah,
I remember she
because
always gave me birds or something.
maybe
I don't remember a lot, but I remember her face kind of.
she died when I married Dennis. We were getting married and she died that day or that next day. So how old were you when?
So I moved out of Dennis's house when I was in second grade. I moved in with my dad.
So it was probably when you knew her up to first grade or second grade
Yeah.
because she passed.
Okay. Okay. So that's your childhood. Tell me about you've been married a few times.
Yeah, 4.
Tell me about that.
Um, every time I got married, it was never for really love. It was because I was needing for you guys to be taken care of. I needed help, but I fell for people easy, and then I thought it was love, and so I get married.
Um,
And
oh,
then I fell for a man named MZ, and he was the only one that I really fell for, and I did not have kids with him, as you know.
okay. All right. Well, okay. So thank you for telling me about the who you were in love with and who you weren't part. I'm trying to think about I'm trying to get a grasp on who so I have two sisters, right? Why don't you tell me how and tell me the story behind them. Tell me how your
Um,
perspective, because from my perspective, I have an older sister, Tina, right, that I didn't meet until what I
she
was
was 21.
she was
She's gonna
21.
be 50 this year.
Yeah, and I met her when I was like 14, 15, something like
Yeah,
that. And then I have a younger sister, Tiffany, who I lived who lived with you, so I didn't really live with her. I
right. You just
uh,
saw her every other weekend, and
so what so the family tree, uh 3 different dads, and then
yes.
tell me the story behind Tina.
Um,
your first daughter, who's now 50.
Yes. I got pregnant when I was 16, well, actually 15, and couldn't take care of her, didn't know what to do. So I gave her up for adoption. And then I found her when she was 21.
Okay. And then how old were you when I was born?
30?
Okay. And when I was born, how long were you with my dad? When did you marry my dad? How long before I was married did you marry my dad? Paul Duncan Sr.
Gosh, I don't know.
Like how long of a relationship did you say you had? Were you married before I came, or did you get married after I came?
Before,
For a long time or a short time, or
short time,
and where did you meet my dad?
at a restaurant that I was working
In Kalamazoo, Michigan?
in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
What restaurant?
It's called Knight's Table. I was a bartender
Does
and
it
a waitress, and he would come in every night after work.
drunk just get drunk?
Yeah, all the guys from, it was called Dry Silker Electric or something.
So my dad was partying every night.
Basically, yeah.
Was he pretty social? Did he have a lot of friends?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm saying was as if he's not alive, but he's alive still. But
right. No, he had quite a few friends. The guys he worked with, he would come in
okay, right on.
because they worked right up the street.
Mm, okay, and then so how did he? So how did what? He just asked you on a date one day,
Yep.
and then what? You guys got married, moved in together, then had me.
Well, he asked me out on a date, and then we found out that we lived right next door to each other. And
Oh,
then I started cleaning his house and taking care of his kids. He had Neil and Vince.
mhm.
And then
You know
I
how
got
old they
pregnant.
were? How old were they when you had met my dad? You know, like
Like
approximate,
7, 8 years old.
or just a little bit older than Harvey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, about 3 years, maybe 3 years older.
Okay, and then so you had me. You guys got then. It must have been very. I don't remember you ever being together with my dad. So it must have been very. It must have been very. I must have been very young when you guys broke up.
Yeah.
My earliest memory, you were with Tiffany's dad, Bob.
Right. Right. Because you lived with us. He he was good to you.
What?
I mean, you were with Bob and I and Tiffany.
Yeah. Well, my question is about how old was I when you and my dad broke up?
Gosh, I don't know.
Like under 5, like less than like relative to Harvey. Harvey's 5 years old, so like relative to Harvey's age, what would you say?
Maybe 7 or 6.
Okay.
No, that
I
can't
would
be.
I would remember you guys being together if it was that old.
Yeah. Maybe.
Because
Oh, yeah.
I literally
You
moved.
must. Yeah,
I
you
moved
would.
in with my dad. I moved in with my dad when I was in first grade. No,
So
second grade.
you
So
must
that
have
would be
been like 3 or something. Yeah.
yeah. Because like
Because
my earliest memories must have been like 4 or 5 years old when we were living in Portage, and I was friends with Daniel, and Dawn.
yes,
The
yes,
show.
yes. Tiffany was very little, just barely walking, and you were like three. Yeah. Now
Okay, so then you broke up with my dad. You end up with Bob, Tiffany's dad. Tiffany came along. Tiffany's how old is Tiffany right now?
she is 35.
35. So she's 4 years younger than me. So when Tiffany was born, I was 4. I don't remember that, but I lived with you and Bob at that time. And then you and Bob broke up pretty shortly after that. We
Yes.
lived in Portage. I remember moving out of that Portage house, moving into Dennis's house, who lived in, we
Centerville.
moved into a trailer by Dennis's house, but we didn't move into Dennis's house. So we moved to Dennis's house into a trailer, and then you were dating Dennis in Centerville, Michigan, which is about an hour,
Yeah.
from Kalamazoo, or 40.
Yes.
And then you dated him for a while. What was that dynamic? Because this is where I start having this is where like my memories start like kind of kicking in. So what would, from your perspective, what would you say like the dynamic was? Like
Um,
of living in Centerville, because obviously there were some problems because I ended up moving in with my dad.
yeah, you and I had a really hard time.
In what way?
You just rebelled against everything that I said or did. And it just, and I couldn't handle it. And I think I was very, very selfish back then. Like for me, everything was about keeping my home, keeping things under control. So I was always kind of like, you can't act like that. You can't do that. And then I just would lose it.
Okay. And what would you say my relationship with my dad was at that time?
Your dad and you, it was good because that's what you liked. You liked going to your dad's. You liked how your dad was more independent with you. You could do more. He would teach you more. Where me, I was consumed with,
My dad did
well,
that. I don't remember him teaching me anything.
no.
Not like I don't have like memories of like playing with him and stuff.
Oh, well, he just let you do things on your own.
He let me be more independent.
Yeah. And I was kind of like my mom. I was everything. You can't do that. You can't do, I was just like, and then you rebelled
Well,
and that,
I think a lot of the reason I was so independent with my dad is because he worked so much.
yeah. And you were on your own
Okay.
a lot.
So anyway, then I moved in. Then I moved in with my dad. Uh, I'm pretty sure it was second grade. You that's what you think too, right?
Yeah. Because it
Uh,
was when I was living with Dennis and yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking at this from my perspective, but also your perspective. So part of this is like I'm trying to like rehash my life too. Like I'm trying to like, okay,
Right. Right.
um,
Yeah.
like I'm trying
Yeah.
to almost like I'm trying to put pieces together.
Right.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's going to take more than 40 minutes to do that, but
Yeah.
um so okay, so I move in with my dad. And then what was so that's second grade. I remember that. I remember my first day of school there. I remember all that. It was Mrs. Gamble was my teacher. I remember she was, I'm not going to say it on here, but I didn't appreciate her life, her way of living. She didn't seem to live very healthy. I remember thinking that right off the bat.
Really.
Yeah. And and so anyway, I lived with my dad from then all the way through graduating high school.
Yes.
So, and I believe I only came to your house, like he dropped me off there, once every other weekend, so twice a month.
Yeah. It was every other weekend, either Dennis and I would drive up or your dad, we'd meet, just whatever we worked out. But mainly we'd go to each other's houses.
So, I mean, really, I saw you 4 days a month.
Yeah.
That's not very much
No. And we didn't get along.
on those 4 days. We fought. I remember we fought a lot on those 4 days.
Yeah.
And then and then during the time when you were married to Dennis, I had two stepbrothers and sisters, Crystal and Sean.
Right.
And then I had
And that,
then I had like my first girlfriend in Centerville, which was Erin, the next door neighbor.
yeah.
And then I had um, I do remember going camping with that group. Like that was a good memory.
Yeah.
And I remember Dennis living in that big house, like in the middle of nowhere in the woods.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I remember doing is like building a trail. I was trying like the next door neighbor's house. I don't remember how far away it was perspective wise, but it seemed like it was pretty far because we tried to build a trail to.
Yeah. Because we were on 10 acres and we were in the beginning of the acreage. So,
So that's pretty far away then. Yeah, it's a
yeah.
pretty long walk to get there. Okay. And then anyway, fast forward, and then you broke up with Dennis when?
For I think I was married 6 years.
Okay. And then you broke up with Dennis and you ended up with who was next? Jerry. That didn't last very long, but you
No,
moved
I never married Jerry.
you didn't marry him, but you moved in with him, so it was
Yeah,
significant. You moved
yeah,
to like a lake house with him, and he was
yeah,
crazy ass dude that had a mullet and he was
yeah,
riding jet skis all over the place. That's all I remember.
yeah,
I remember he was wild
yeah,
just because he had a mullet. So, and I must have been in high school at that time because I remember me and all my friends making fun of his mullet.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I remember of him. And then that didn't last very long, I don't think, right? And then you
No,
ended up marrying MZ. MZ you were with for how long?
um, 5 years. Everything was 5 years.
5 years, okay. And then so this whole time I'm just seeing you every other weekend pretty much, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I pretty much remember it. I think I probably started seeing you more when I turned 16 because I was
And
drunk.
when I was married to MZ, you'd come over a lot for some reason.
Oh, I just
More anyway.
yeah. Okay, we got 10 minutes left.
Oh,
Yeah, that was fast. I think if I wanted to, I could hang up and keep going, but we'll see. Um, or hang up and call back, you know.
yeah.
Uh, so then you were with so yeah, when I turned 16, I remember visiting you more, like you would cut my hair, stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
come a little bit more.
You
But
were married to Angela, I think. Or no.
when I
No.
was 16 years old,
Oh, yeah. No. Okay.
what?
Nothing. I'm okay. Go on.
Anyway, so we're like still my high school time frame.
Right, right.
So anyway, um, yeah. So then I graduated from high school. Who were you with when I graduated from high school?
Bah. MC?
Okay, I'm not sure. I don't remember that. And then I joined the army, right?
Yeah.
The first time it didn't take. I was only there for a couple of months and I got hurt, came back, then tried to go to college. Tried to go to college, did the army. There was that whole back and forth from like the time I was 18 to 21. None of that worked out. And then I ended up moving to Vegas when I was 21. I actually tried to move to Vegas once before I turned 21. That only lasted a little bit, came back. You were still in Michigan at that time. I turned 21, moved to Vegas. That's when I was doing. That's when I joined the National Guard officially, right? And then
Right.
I've been in off and on ever since then. And then fast forward through everything that happened with me during that time. But we like, what was our relationship like during that time? Like when I moved to Vegas to.
It was still a little scarce because I lived in North Las Vegas. You lived in Henderson,
Well, you only
and
lived in North Vegas. You didn't live in North Las Vegas for very long. You just came for a while.
3 years.
Oh, well, I didn't even talk to you then.
Right. We saw each other maybe twice. I watched your Iron Man that you did, and then you married Angela, and I went to your reception. So we were still not that
Well, that was
close,
when I was like 30.
What?
That was like when I was like 30. What about from like 21 until you moved to Vegas the first time?
Oh, we hi, how are talk on the phone, and
Not very much though.
not as much as I'd like, for sure. I
And
wanted to.
let's see. Keep fast forwarding. I know we're gonna run out of time here, but then so I had, but then you ended up moving back to Michigan for a while, right?
Right.
And then fast forward some more. I have I end up getting with Kathy. I have Harvey. That's 6 years ago. At that time when I found out I was having Harvey, I was living in basically a, a condo on the strip in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
essentially. and then I don't know. I don't know exactly how that played out.
I fell and broke my wrist, and we started talking, and then we had a serious conversation, and we basically hashed out a lot of stuff. And then you said, well, I don't know what you said. You said, Mom, I need you. I'm having a baby.
Well, yeah. So then I sold my condo on the Strip. I bought the condo that you're in now. And then
Yes.
been living in that for 5 years now, 6 years now.
Six.
6 years.
February will be 6 years. And you said I'd be gone in a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's 5 minutes left. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end the call, and I'm gonna send you another link. Okay.
Okay.
And then continue. All right.
Okay.
And I'll try to blend these two together somehow. All right.
Okay. Love you. Bye.